Today we're going to have today's lessons. This lesson is going to be biblically based. Some lessons will be, some lessons will not. Some lessons will not have biblical context. Some lessons will have biblical context. So today's lessons, this lesson is all out of the Bible from Matthew 25 and 14. It's the parable of the bags of gold as it reads in the New International Version of which I'm reading, which is in English and Swahili, just in case you wanted to know. Again, it would be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and trusted him his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received the 5 bags of gold went at once to put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. Also one of the 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who received 1 bag went off and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who received the 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you trusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you have trusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. And master, he said, I knew that you were a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid. I went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here's what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I had not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I return, I will have received it back with interest. So take that bag of gold from him and give it to the one who had 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they will have will be taken from them. And throw the worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So the principles here are valid for all of us. Again, these are principles that are valid for all of us, whether or not we are particularly Christian, but the principles, not only are they valid for all of us, they work. They're working principles. So we're going to go into the principles of the lesson of the lesson or the parable of the talents, as it's called, the parable of the bag of gold, as it's called. And biblical principles of stewardship and investment. So, welcome to our exploration of biblical wisdom on stewardship and investment. Today, we will examine how ancient teachings provide timeless guiding for managing resources. Our journey centers on the parable of the talents and God's perspective on faithful resource multiplication. The parable of the talents, Matthew 25, 14, and 30, highlights the entrusting. A master gave 3 servants different amount of wealth before his journey. And the scripture says he give them each according to their ability. The management, 2 servants double their talents, 1 buries his portion in fear. The reckoning. The master rewards the productive servants. The fearful one faces the consequences. So understanding biblical stewardship, God's ownership in Psalms 24, verse 1, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. So the simple concept, everything belongs to God. All the resources that on earth, all the resources that you're looking for, that you want to come into your life, whether it's money or anything, all the resources you want, they all belong to God. Human management. We are temporary caretakers of God's resources. So again, even as resources pass through our hands, those resources belong to God. So we are actually caretakers of God's divine resources. We're called to diligence and faithful administration. We're called to diligence and responsibility of what we're giving. As a caretaker of someone else's resources, caretaker of God's resources, we're called to be faithful in administration. And as you can see from the parable, we're called to multiply those resources. So another way to look at this is God as the ultimate investor. God is the ultimate investor. Entrusting God distribute resources according to your ability. So one received 5 bags, so he obviously had proven his ability to multiply. One got 2 bags, he had proven his ability to multiply, not as much as the one had 5. So as you see here, God gave the resources as a shrewd or as a sophisticated investor, God is, or as a all-knowing investor even. God gave God gave resources according to each according to his ability. And so he gave one, because and obviously it turned out that when he gave one was not a proper multiplier of resources, did not multiply resources, and so he said those resources would even be taken from him. He's empowering. God provides the opportunity for the faithful stewards to grow. God desires fruitfulness and multiplication. And when he returns, he look for the multiplication. Look for the multiplication. So the resources that have been given to you, the resources that have been given to you today, resources that will be given to you in the future, are looking for them to be multiplied. Rewarding celebrates and expands the responsibility of the faithful. Rewards the faithful. Multiply what we've been given. So what do we need to do? We need to recognize gifts, our talents or gift as a resource, our talents. P&R, personal natural resources, our talents, resources, and opportunities. We got to recognize the gifts that we've been given. Sometimes we don't recognize those gifts, and therefore we don't multiply them. But God gave us these resources. These resources are intended to be multiplied. Develop our skills. You need to cultivate and improve on what you received. Apply wisely. Put the resources to a productive use. Increase the impact. Multiply influence and resources for kingdom purposes. That is the purpose. If you want to receive resources, people ask me often and say, well, how do you get wealthy? And I say, one of the ways I say is that uh, increase your ability, and prove you have ability. Number two, understand that God's resources are for his work. So if you want God to give you resources, more resources, have yourself found be doing his work. Be found doing his work. If you're found doing his work, God's going to bring you resources to that work. Risk, responsibility, and faith. Wise risk taking. The faithful servants invested boldly. They trusted their master's character. They embraced opportunity despite uncertainty. Wise risk taking. Faith-based inaction. Fear-based inaction. The third servant buried his talent. His fear paralyzed potential growth. He misunderstood his master's expectations. He stated that he thought his master would be pleased just to receive back what he gave you to receive it back. But obviously his master was unpleased in the fact that what he had given him did not multiply. Faith in action. Biblical stewardship requires courage. It means stepping out with wisdom. Faith without works remains unfruitful. So how do we apply these principles today? In our personal finance, you should budget with a purpose. You should understand that your resources, even though the resources have to pay this bill, that other bill, you still need to do your best to use your resources with a purpose that serves God. Invest with wisdom and giving generously. We already know here in Dream Play world, the more you give, the more you get. The more you give, the more you get. Career and skills. Developing your abilities. The ones who have the most ability, the greater ability, receive more bags of gold. Develop your abilities. These financial literacy lessons are developing your abilities. We have classes. We have, beyond this 40 days of financial literacy lessons, there's also 4 40-day segments, depending if you want to be a Dahu or you want to be a dream builder. You want to build dreams or you want to be a Dahu. Each area has 40-day classes. So 160 days of classes, of lessons you can take that absolutely increase your ability. And that increased ability will bring you more of God's resources. Serving excellently, and mentoring others, helping others to increase their ability. That will bring you more resources. These principles you put in your life are 100% guaranteed to work. Business leadership, creating value, ethical practices, and focuses on kingdom impact. All of these things, you apply these principles in your life today, and you apply these principles over this 40-day period, just even this first 40-day period, and you'll see the resources in your life change dramatically. You apply them over a 120-day period, you'll see an even bigger change. Everything we have comes from God. We manage not own our resources. Recognize that, but then you'll be more thoughtful. Even in the way you pay your bills, in the way you do your things, you'll be more thoughtful of how you manage those resources. Number two, embrace active stewardship. Multiplication requires intentional investment. Growth comes through faithful action. Overcome fear with faith. Don't let fear bury your potential. Trust God's character as you invest. Four, anticipate accountability. The master will return. God is watching. Have you multiplied what he entrusted? Ask yourself that question at the same time you go to ask for additional resources. If you ask yourself that question every time you go to ask for additional resources, you'll train yourself to be more productive with the resources you have. And therefore, you will absolutely receive more resources. That's our lesson for today. One thing to take away from this is that there are unlimited resources available to you. Unlimited. God has unlimited resources, so there are unlimited resources available to you. You have to make it that your resources come to you, and that God continues to send resources to you, and He continues to send resources to you in greater number. And you do that by increasing your ability and being a faithful steward of the resources that's given to you. Dream Play and Placino help you do that. By doing the daily things that we do in Dream Play and Placino, it helps you embrace all the key factors from this lesson, and actually helps you automatically put this lesson into play in your life, which will increase your resources, increase your ability, and increase your resources. That's today's lesson. Thank you very much. Showmaster, are you ready to take it back over?
Absolutely, absolutely. Game Master, thank you so much. What an amazing lesson. Let me go over these conclusions here again. It says, recognize divine ownership. Everything we have comes from God. We manage our own resources. So some of the lessons you're going to learn here are going to be just kind of run in the mill. Some of them are going to include biblical lessons, because we do believe here that some of the principles that are around are biblical principles, and if you follow these principles, this is how you're able to manifest or make more with Cena's using our system, because the system is a blessing system. So the system is really meant to run on these principles, like the servant. The people who are able to utilize their talents are able to utilize their talents and have more talents. And that's why we say here in Blasina, the more you win, the more you can help people. The more you help, the more you win. And the more you help, the more you win, or the more you're blessed. And then you can turn around and increase your blessings again. This is a beautiful, beautiful takeaway, because people can able to apply these things to understand how they work, right? And another big thing that I took away from this, which I find to be all these years I've looked at, I've read different parts of the Bible, been to church, but I've never even known that God was an investor. I mean, just right there in that one scripture, it shows you that God said you should invest or put it with the bank. I had never ever seen nothing like that in my entire life, and so I'm really excited. This is the purpose of these games, because when we spin, we get to win. But we don't only win. We only win prizes. We also get, which we didn't talk about here, we also get a 1% drip back over time. But also we get to learn. We get to learn the financial literacy part, so we get to increase our ability, our knowledge about finances, about blockchain, about everything that's happening here.